All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about a fundamental shift in global power. But here's the twist. It's not being driven by armies or old-school economics. Nope. It's being driven by artificial intelligence.
So, the source material we're digging into today puts a really bold idea on the table. What if humanity is standing at a massive fork in the road? And we're not just talking about what new app you're going to use. This is about the very foundation of power, of money, of everything we know.
And look, this isn't some far-off, abstract debate for academics. The source calls this a phase shift, a moment where everything changes and fast. And we're going to see it all play out in real time, with two huge rival summits happening almost back-to-back.
So on one side, you've got the established order, the old guard, all meeting in Davos. But then, just weeks later, a whole new center of gravity forms in India, and they're bringing a completely different vision for how AI should shape our world.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the big crack that's forming. Then, we'll put the two big worldviews side by side. After that, we'll bring in a surprising third player, explore the really deep philosophy behind this whole thing, and finally, see how it could all snap together into a brand new global order.
All right, let's start with the core idea, the great AI fracture. The source we're looking at frames this as a fight for the operating system of civilization. I mean, think about that. It's about who gets to write the fundamental code for how our society runs in this new age of AI.
Okay, so now let's actually dig into these two competing visions. We're going to put them head to head so you can really see the difference between the Davos camp and this new model emerging from India.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the logic. The Davos model is all top-down, centralized. It's about efficiency, control, using AI to make capital work better. But the India model, it's the complete opposite. It's bottom-up. It sees AI as a civilizational tool, something to empower its own people and protect its own data in a world with many different poles of power.
So, at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. It's a straight-up conflict. On one side, a single globally managed system. On the other, a world of independent nations, each using technology to build and protect their own sovereignty.
But just when you think it's a simple two-horse race, the source throws in a fascinating curveball. There's a third path, a wild card, being pushed within a potential future U.S. administration, and it doesn't quite fit either of the other two boxes.
You see, the idea here is that figures like Marco Rubio and David Sachs, they have zero interest in getting a seat at the Davos table. They want to flip the whole table over. Their goal is to take technologies like AI and crypto and actually weaponize them to bypass that whole system and beef up American independence. And their strategy, according to the source, is a pretty slick three-part play. First, help India build its own powerful sovereign AI to act as a balance against China. Second, pivot hard into crypto, what they call freedom tech, to build financial systems outside of the old-school banks. And third, a dose of realism. Unleash the insane amount of energy you're going to need to power this whole AI revolution. So what's really driving this push for sovereignty? Well, this is where things get a little deep, a little more philosophical. The source introduces this concept it calls the Kukulkan Codex. And this isn't just about strategy. It's like the moral and spiritual blueprint for this potential new world. Now, this is a pretty radical way to think about AI, right? Instead of a cold, calculating machine built just for profit and control, this codex imagines AI as a kind of digital elder, a guardian that protects a culture's history, its memory, its wisdom. It's about aligning tech with nature, not just the stock market.
And this slide just lays out the two possible futures in stark contrast. The source calls the Davos model an erasure grid, basically a system designed to flatten culture and lock us all in a digital cage for profit. The other path, though, is the cosmic serpent, an approach that uses AI as a flow, a current, to protect and preserve a nation's unique identity.
So if this path succeeds, the source suggests it could kick off a full-blown monetary technical reset. Think of it as a total system reboot. Decentralized tech like crypto and open AI becomes so powerful that it just shatters the old top-down one-world system.
So how does this all come together? Well, this brings us to the final piece of the argument. It all leads to what the source calls a marriage of necessity, a pragmatic alliance that could trigger a massive tectonic shift in how the world is organized.
And this quote just nails it. This is the deal on the table. It's a straight-up exchange. America brings the hardware, the most advanced computer chips, and the financial fuel in the form of crypto. In return, it gets a powerful partner to create a united front against both Chinese tech dominance and the global regulations coming out of Davos.
And if this alliance actually holds, the source argues that the entire era of top-down global management is basically over. What rises in its place? Powerful, independent groups of nations, these sovereign blocs, using AI and blockchain as their new shields and swords for the 21st century. But it's important to understand this isn't seen as some simple, clean break. The source is very clear. It's gonna be messy. It's described as a spiral ascent, meaning it's a winding, complex evolution away from the old system and towards something new, something it calls a harmonic order.
And that leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Are we witnessing the dawn of a new era of real technological freedom and national independence? Or is this just the first shot in a whole new, more complicated battle for control? The battle lines are being drawn, but the final outcome? Well, that's the part that's yet to be written.